What's going on, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome back to a brand new deck profile, bringing you a pure Mekk Knight video. I've been wanting to get this profile up for quite some time, but I haven't had the time to really get around to it yet. I was waiting on some stuff in the mail and things like that nature. You know, I'm literally always waiting for stuff at this point, it seems. But it is what it is. And, quick shout out though to Imperium Duelist. You guys already know. We are sponsored by them here. And I'm rocking the diamond effect sleeves here on the main deck, making this Mekk Knight of Ram look really, really nice. These sleeves are super, super nice. Somebody had some questions the other day about the sleeve quality, and to be honest, I haven't had any problems with any of the sleeves. I will say that like the white and like black sleeves are probably the best. It just seems like to be the case for like any sleeve brand. Shuffle quality is fine, very smooth shuffling, and very durable. I've been using these sleeves for a long, long time. Now the extra deck rocking the shatter foil sleeves, of course, some of my favorite to use for extra deck. And of course the Millennium playmat from Imperium Duelist. So check out the links down in the description, and we'll go ahead and get started. For the monsters, we have to start 3 Mekk Knight of Ram. Check this out. Yeah, so 2000 attack, 0 defense, level 4 light. Why are we playing 3 of essentially a token? Well, for a couple reasons. We're playing Rescue Rabbit in this build. I was playing the Brilliant Fusion engine for a little while until I found it just to not really work as well as I thought it would. It just works as well as like it does in like a deck like Mekk Knight Invoked. But in Pure, I found that just playing Rescue Rabbit with Avram is nice, but Avram is really important because going first, any Mekk Knight engine will struggle because it's hard to create a column yourself unless you have something in your extra monster zone. The nice thing about him is that you can normal him and go right into Link Spider, and there you go, you already have something in your column, and now you just need to set something, get your purple Nightfall off, or whatever, or an Indigo and set up a trap card with it like Secrets or Whispers, and you're all set to go. And Avram, very, very good card. Discard fodder. He's a good normal summon to help Link climb with. Very, very good card. And that's why we do play him at 3 in this build. So I wouldn't play him at any more than 1 in like a Mekk Knight Invoke deck, but in the Pure, we definitely want to run 3. And then next up, of course, the star of the show, Purple Nightfall. Gets all your plays going, tutors out any Mekk Knight in the deck, adds it to your hand, allows you to pretty much play the game, and he comes back every standby phase. What more could you really ask for in a card like this for Mekk Knights? And then next up, we have 2 Indigo Eclipse. Arguably one of the better, non-main Mekk Knights. He combos extremely well with a lot of your, monsters, a lot of your spells and traps, because the fact that he's able to move columns or move other Mekk Knights into different columns is what makes him really, really good. And I like playing 2. I was playing 3, but I just want to have to search him off Nightfall or Blue Sky. I don't really want to open him too much. And it's the fact that you can like recur him from the grave with cards like Succession or Secrets makes it so you don't really want to play him or need to play him at any more than 2. And then moving on, we have Mekk Knight Blue Sky. This guy here, obviously, when he's summoned, summoned by the effect that all Mekk Knights have to be summoned by in a column where there's 2 or more cards. He gets to search based on the number of opponent's cards in that column. And the reason I'm only playing 2, I've seen some builds that play 3 is because obviously it can brick at 3. And the same thing applies with all these guys. They can only be special summoned from the hand by their own effect once per turn, and it's a hard once per turn. So you don't ever really want to open up multiples. And the reason I really only play 3 Purple Nightfall is because I think he's the best one. You summon him out, get a search, maybe Blue Sky, he searches you some more, and then your Purple Nightfall returns in the standby phase to be able to search more. But just being able to get that power search off 1 or 2 times a game is pretty key, and I think 2 Blue Sky fits well. 2 Red Moon, this is what allows you to remove things that are causing problems. Red Moon, obviously just banish a Mekk Knight from grave, and then destroys a monster face up in that column that he is currently in. 2600 defense, usually summoning out in defense is pretty nice off of a card like Memory, and just blow something up and help to put a lot of damage on, because this deck can put on a lot of damage. Pretty much by turn 1 or turn 3, this deck can put out tons of damage, especially with his link climbing capabilities, and Red Moon helps us to be able to remove monsters. And we play 1 yellow star. He does basically the same thing that Red Moon does, but just for spell and trap removal. But he's got a 2800 defense, so summoning him out at 2800 is really, really nice because a lot of things can't really get over him. And yeah, that is it for the Mekk Knight lineup. There's obviously the orange one and the green one. I was thinking about playing those in the Mekk Knight lineup, but like I just figured, what's the point? You don't really need the extra names for anything, and I would rather be searching a Red Moon or a Yellow Star, to be honest, if I had, extra searches to get with a card like Purple Nightfall or Blue Sky. Alright, and we'll move on to the rest of the monsters. And the rest of the monsters basically only serve a few purposes, and that is to basically just punish your opponent, just remove things, and just do damage, because that's what this deck can do best. So next we have 3 Dino Wrestler Pancratops. This card fits very, very well in this deck, in my opinion. You can summon them out and mainly clear back row or things that might be hurting you. Clear a monster, a problem monster, and then allow you to make more plays from there. So 3 Pancratops is pretty nice. And then we also have 3 Gamma Seal. And it's funny how like I wasn't playing this in Mermail, but I'm playing it here because this deck is more efficient when it comes to gaining resources. Just seeing 1 Nightfall is really all you're going to need to get a play going. Maybe, a trap card to go along with it, or maybe a memory. There's really not too much that goes into this deck as far as starter cards go. So Gamma Seal fits well in here because you have the extra room as far as the deck is concerned. You could obviously play hand traps. I just choose to play removal cards in the form of Pancratops and Gamma Seal because they do work well for that. This can destroy any card, which is awesome, and he can just summon himself as a free 2600 body if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. And Gamma Seal, obviously just the remover of all things, so that's why we play him in here. And then last monsters, we have our 3 Rescue Rabbit. Basically your targets are Mekk Knight of Ram. You use this, you can either go into a rank 4, or you could go into a Link Spider and then link into a Morning Star. I think you could probably just link into a Morning Star with just this card anyways, because I don't think the 2 Mekk Knight monsters need to be different monsters. Rescue Rabbit, very, very good. And that's it for the monsters, I believe. So, yeah. Quite a few monsters. I think like 22 monsters in here or so. And now we'll go into the spells and the traps. So we have 3 World Legacies Memory to start. This card does a lot. It can sort of act like a trap card as well if you have the actual trap card to get set up. And that's why I think this deck has a pretty decent going first board, because most of the time you're like able to go into Morningstar like a lot. It's very, very easy to get into Morningstar, who on summon you can pitch a Mekk Knight or World Legacy card to add a World Legacy card. And if you already opened this along with it, or a trap, vice versa, you can search this out. And we all know the classic, reborn your Indigo Eclipse into a zone to negate something, and then you can move again to negate something. Well, then you can sort of act as this, to chain to summon out another monster into any other zone where you need to stop something. And this card can act as sort of like a negation of a monster or a spell or a trap, depending on whatever one you have on your field at that given time, to stop plays. And this card can also act as a play starter to begin with, because if you have to go second, you don't see any Mekk Knights or any way to summon a Mekk Knight other than this card, you grab Purple Nightfall and make some plays there, at least get your Purple Nightfall engine going. Memory, very, very strong card, just an E-Tally for Mekk Knights, of course. And then next we have 3 Call by the Grave. Very, very good, of course. Got to stop those hand traps because there's too many of them floating around. Next we have 2 World Legacy Sessions. We can search this card very easily with our main, Link Monster, Morningstar. Basically just target monster in the graveyard, special summon to a zone 8 Link Monster points to, and you can only activate once per turn. But this, a lot of times, can help to put on more damage and help to link climb. Very, very important extender, I should say. And then a card I haven't featured in a lot of deck profiles lately is Double Twin Twister. This card I put in here mainly because I just have the room to, essentially. And this card can just fit in here very, very well, because there's really, like I said, there's not too much to this deck as far as main engine cards go. So you have actually a lot of room just to put in cards that say, like, let me play the game sort of thing. So you don't have to worry about losing to back row hate to start. You can open up a Twin Twister and still have plenty of room to play, even if you do have to discard a card. Next we have Double Instant Fusion, because creating those columns turn 1 is nice. We're also playing Thousand Eyes Restrict and Raging in the extra deck, which of course, more cards that say, hey, let me play the game, or force out negation type things. So definitely 2 instant fusions, very good. Now we'll go into some 1-ups here. For 1-up Mekk Knight cards, we have World Legacy Scars and World Legacy Key. These cards are pretty important, I would say, to play, at least as a 1-up. The field spell is nice because it does boost all of your Mekk Knights by 300 attack and defense, which can be very important in some matchups because a lot of times Mekk Knights have a very hard time getting over anything that is 2500 or more, because you know your strongest monster in the main deck is Purple Nightfall, who comes out at 25. So being able to boost them up by that extra 300 attack and defense is pretty nice, helps you get over some things you wouldn't be able to get over before. And it also has a neat effect where you can discard a Mekk Knight or Royal Legacy card to draw a card. And setting up graveyard presence in this deck isn't always bad. So if you already have some combo pieces in hand, like you know, Memory or Secrets or whatever, you can use your Mekk Knight Morningstar effect to search this card instead. And World Legacy Key is pretty nice because you can tutor back banished monsters that you might not get back, and it negates any opponent's trap effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight. So it sort of acts like Whispers and Secrets, but in the fact that it only negates traps, and at this time, instead of being a trap itself, is a continuous spell. So it's pretty nice to have that card as well. But I don't rely on them that too much, and I don't really want to see them that much, so I think playing them as 1-ofs works just fine, since pretty much both those cards and any of the Mekk Knight or World Legacy cards that we play can be searched out via your Morningstar. And then the last spell we're playing is one Sky Striker Mecha Hornet Drones, because this is still a 1-card engine starter, if you will. Drones going to Kagari. Kagari adds us back to be able to make Link Spider later for more plays. And on top of that, you give yourself that extra monster zone turn 1 to be able to create a column for yourself. So that's it for all the spells, like 15 spells or so. Now we only have 3 traps here in the main deck. 2 Secrets and 1 copy of Whispers. I would preferably like to play a 2-to-2 ratio, but believe it or not, the Whispers that I ordered haven't come in the mail yet. But what else are you gonna do? So I think a 2-2 ratio is fine. You could do 2-1, but I find myself constantly always going for the Secrets instead because it always pans out better that way. Stopping monster effects usually ends up being more efficient for this deck. And World Legacy Whispers, I feel like it's a little more situational against certain decks, and obviously you could side more of these against Sky Striker matchups, if you will, because this basically negates any spell effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight, and on activation you can target a level 5 or higher monster in the field and it gains 1000 attack and defense until the end of this turn, which is pretty key sometimes because, again, there's that issue where sometimes your Mekk Knights can't get over things. You can boost up your Purple Nightfall possibly to 3500, 38 with the field spell. Very, very important sometimes to deal with problems that can only be dealt with by battle. And then this card, obviously we know what it does. It just reborns level 5 or higher and negates any opponent's monster effect that activates in the same column as a Mekk Knight monster, which is really, really key. So going against Thunder Dragons, if you have something in the zone like Colossus is, they obviously can't use that effect to protect it, which is super, super nice and allows you to sort of deal with it that way. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. Should be 40 cards. Main deck, don't really think there's anything that I would change currently. Again, the Pankratops and Gamma Seals could be easily replaced with cards like Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Bell, anything you name it. This is sort of like a budget option, if you will, for going second. You don't have to worry about stopping them during their plays. You can just sort of just blow everything up on their field and then kill them from there. This can take care of monsters and spells and traps, you name it, and then this can take care of pesky monsters that can't be dealt with otherwise. So I think this is a perfectly viable engine if you're looking for a budget option. If you don't really want to just play common Veilers and I guess what's it called, Ghost Ogre isn't too expensive. I think it's like 15 bucks for a super rare, which isn't too bad, I guess. Now we'll go into the links, and we'll start with the smallest links first, the link ones. First off, we have Link Karibo, because again, we do play Instant Fusion, and we do play Thousand Eyes Restrict, so if you do take something with that Thousand Eyes, you want to be able to link it into a Link Karibo to get rid of their monster and give yourself a zone altogether. And then we have 2 Link Spiders. Again, with thinking of like mathematically, with having Rescue Rabbit, if you do see a turn 1, you're obviously still going to have one of Realm left in the deck, and that still leaves room for a Link Spider play. And you also will probably do a Link Spider play off of your Rescue Rabbit as well. And you can also use that other Sky Striker token to go into a Link Spider on top of that, because it is treated as a normal monster, which is nice. So I think playing 2 of these is fine. And all the testing that I've had, I've always had times where I wanted a second one to go into, because it's just a real easy link to go into to start link climbing with, and it gives you that column to be able to create turn 1. And then we have Kagari, of course, the Nightmare package consisting of Phoenix, Cerberus, and Unicorn. And then we have our Mekk Knight package consisting of 2 Morningstar and 1 Spectrum Supreme. Now you're probably wondering why I'm not playing more of these. Mainly because I just don't think 3 and 2 is needed. I have thought about playing 3 Morningstar. I have thought about playing 2 Spectrum Supreme. But I think a 2-to-1 ratio is fine, considering all the other stuff that we can play in the extra deck. Space is sort of tight because you do need the Nightmare Engine. You do need those fusion, because I think playing Instant Fusion here works very, very well. Of course, you know, everyone has a different opinion about things. And you could play out. The only thing I would probably say is maybe playing like a 3rd Morningstar. I don't think playing 2 Spectrum Supreme is really worth it. You don't really go into him that much unless you're trying to, you know, attack directly for game, because he can attack directly if there's nothing in his column or he doesn't point to anything. Very, very good card. And you can swing directly for like 3k, like I said. And he actually has some pretty other neat effects. He sends 1 card in a column that you control, and basically you can special summon a Mekk Knight monster from your deck in defense position. So he can actually tutor out a Mekk Knight himself if you do need one at that given point in time. So he can be very, very useful. And he can also can't be targeted. He cannot be destroyed by card effects. And it cannot be targeted with card effects if he doesn't point to anything either, which is really nice. And again, if there's nothing in his column, he can swing directly. But a lot of times, leaving Morningstar in the field is just better, because nothing can be destroyed by battle, or you take no battle damage from any attack. That basically, anytime someone tries to attack a Mekk Knight monster, that's not in the same column as it. So these guys are really, really clutch to sometimes just leave on your field instead of climbing into the Spectrum Supreme. And then lastly, 1 Boral Sword, because link climbing, again, happens very, very easy in this deck. Very, very easy. So Boral Sword fits very well. And with playing Rescue Rabbit, I wanted to play some Ixies, because why not have, if we're going to play a card that gives us a free rank 4, why not play some? So I figured Exciton Knight and Dweller would be some of the best bets, because a board wipe is nice and shutting down graveyard effects is always good as well. And then of course our 2 fusion monsters, Invoked Raging and Thousand Eyes Restrict, to round off the extra deck for our 2 instant fusion targets. So there you go. There is the full pure Mekk Knight deck profile. I do really like this deck a lot. I think it's a very, very fun deck. A little refreshing to play, to get out, you know, away from the invoked Mekk Knight. Playing this deck on its own essentially is actually pretty interesting. I've been wanting to play it for quite some time. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it can be pretty competitive, especially with the trap cards it plays, and you know, Morningstar being as good as a card as it is. And especially with a lot of the room that you have in this deck to play like removal cards and negations, I think it's definitely got a pretty good chance to be a pretty decent deck. At least probably a budget option, I would say, for the most part. Definitely a very, very good tier 2 deck, I would say. Very, very fun to play as well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to check out Imperium Duelist if you haven't already. And as always, guys, we're going to kill signing out. We'll see ya in the next one.